In the streets of Manchester, from Dens Gate to Moss Side, one name has been bringing people with the sound of Afrobeats, and the name is Afrobeats MCR. Over the years, the Throne parties that celebrated the Afro community, connecting people who share culture, the music, and the vibe. But as their audience grew, they realized something important. Their brand didn't fully represent the community they were building, and that's where I came in. And so Afrobeat MCR reached out to me that they wanted to rebrand from Afrobeat MCR to Soraya, because the audience that had already grown in their brand, we already catered for the kind of brand that they had. And think about it, they also had to change their name because they needed to cater for the larger Afro community. And so they reached out to me saying that they wanted to rebrand. And so I took on the project. We had a discovery call. And so basically, when I have discovery calls, I don't necessarily have a script, even though I do sometimes. But the point of a discovery call is to, first of all, introduction, get to know the clients, get to know what they want, and basically get to understand the scope of the project, what they want, what are the deliverables for this project. Am I going to do websites for them? Am I going to do branding for them? Do they need marketing out of the brand? And sometimes it happens like that, you get. So I know how large this project is, basically. And so that's what helped me to create a brand proposal. And so yeah, after the discovery call, I had to go back. I created a brand proposal and I sent it to them. Here's what my brand proposal looks like. So yeah, here's what my brand proposal looks like. And this brand proposal I sent it out on the 26th of February 2025. Yeah, so like I said, this project has been for a while. And so basically I start with an introduction, introducing myself, and for this is the old version though, but this is the one I use for Soraya. Then I went to the project objective, but like the new one is just a more refined look of what this looks like. I'm going to show you that later on. And so it has the project objective, craft a brand that represents the core of the business, develop primary logo into a suite that can be effectively used across various marketing content, creates brand identity that communicates that and effectively stand out, blah blah blah. So yeah, I have to explain to the client the design process, how I go about what I go about, because I think after this we're going to have to show them the pricing. So yeah, design process, then now I show them the pricing. So yeah, I have to explain to the client the pricing, how much it's going to cost. First of all, I list out all the details here. Then I list out the framework, you get. So yeah, I list out all details, everything that is going to happen in the project and the time frame. Then after that, I move on to next steps. So after this, what are the next things that you want to do? And then I show the client some other completed project that I have done, so that they can trust my so that they can trust me more. Then I think I send them a comprehensive portfolio link so they can click here, and I think they can also access my website to this link so that they can see more about the brand. And there's an email at the end. And so I send them this alongside my contract and an invoice, and they reached out to me saying that they were good with what I had sent. They signed the contract, paid the invoice, and we started working on the brand. And so I was working on this brand alone. I was working on the brand with my very good friend Rock. And so I called Rob, reached out to him, and we started working on it together. And so we didn't just dive into it. We did some research, even though I think in retrospect I think the research was shallow, but you get to understand what I mean as we go along the video. So yeah, so we did some research and we came up with a mood board. And here's what the mood board looks like. All right, so the first mood board that we came up with, the first set of mood board that we came up with, we had to show them, and this is what it looked like. So you had the brand name, whatever, mood board 1. And so we said this mood board is a celebration of both marks and whatnot. So one thing you have to do is that you have to explain what the mood board is about, because the mood board is not just a fun activity to do. It's not even visual mapping, so they have to explain what it is, you get. And so that, because now you're the creative, sometimes your client might not be a creative. But like for this client, they have a creative director that was working on the brand. Because I think that really made things easy because you got to understand our point of view a lot of the times. Yeah, shout outs to you. So yeah, on board one. So we explained that this celebrates bold mark and inspired by the Afrocentric essence through careful research. I've discovered that African-inspired designs embrace powerful, striking word marks, echo the habit of culture, the imagery evoke Afro vibe, blending tradition, modernity. So basically, see what we created, and to be very honest, they got the feedback. Then this is the second one that we created, so mood board 2, and we came up with this. And so the feedback that they basically brought was that they don't think that this works because for this brand, what they are actually trying to do is to move out of the bold and rigid African style. Because like I said, their audience were growing, and basically they are now catering for people that are not necessarily from Nigeria, that are relocated to Manchester or the UK, from Nigeria, from South Africa, or from Ghana. They are catering to Afro Latinos. So their audience is no longer this kind of people. You get, their audience is a more larger scope, a more larger Afro community. So it might not necessarily be black people or black people in any form or way. They can just be, people that what do they call it? People that are married to black people. They understand. And so with this kind of mood boards, it doesn't cut it for them. I think another thing they mentioned was that so the second mood board, I had explained to them that what I wanted to show them here was the style, the fluidity in these logos, this one, and basically like the pattern, and which other one again, yeah, like the way everything is naturally occurring and this other stuff. But then they told me that they were able to see the fluidity here, you get. And also they said with this one they can't even see a certain color scheme, and that's one thing. When you create mood boards, try to tweak the color scheme, try to tweak the colors so that it fits a certain color scheme, so that everything is synchronizing. You see what I mean as I open the approved mood board? So try to tweak it so that because I was expecting them to not look at, I think I wrote it down here. I say, note, the color for this brand wasn't a major consideration for this mood board as it's already been decided. And yeah, this is what I was saying. So they had already sent me color because in between, I think immediately after the strategy call, I had them fill a questionnaire, and inside the questionnaire, and after filling the questionnaire, they sent me a Notion board where they had like the brand, mission, vision, everything, target audience. They had the colors, and so I was like, okay, maybe it seems like these people have already like decided on what colors to use. And so I was like, okay, let's just go with this. And after this call, one thing that the client also told me, because we were having a call to review the mood board, the client also told me that no, don't limit yourself to the colors that you've already chosen. Just do something and show us something that works for the brand, you get. And so we went back. I think it took us like 2 or 3 more days because we had already like spent time on this, because I think we have that like a time limit on the product. I think 4 weeks then, but I've increased the time now to 6 weeks because I don't think 4 weeks work again. So yeah, we had to go back and re-strategize, and we had to come up with a new mood board. And this time around, we didn't send it to the client, because the previous one we sent to the client, they had a call letter. We didn't send it to the client because we were very sure of what we had done. We didn't send it to the client because we were sure of what we had done. We had a meeting with the clients and presented the mood board. I think then later sent it to the clients. So here's what the new mood board looks like. And so this new mood board, yeah, another thing the client also talked about. So see, feedback is very necessary. When clients give you feedback, make sure that you thoroughly go through the feedback and make corrections to it, you get. And so when they were talking about the formal mood board, when they were talking about the previous mood board, they talked about the fact that they didn't like that it was just 2 options. And so what we did is we came up with 3 options. And so the first one that we considered was Afro-urban vibrancy. And so for this, we had black as the foundation, vibrancy through contrast. So I would explain what it is like. So black as the foundation, vibrancy through contrast, and urban and contemporary artistic. And so look at the visual representation of what we are talking about. And so basically the idea for this is that we're going to create a brand that has always a black background and has other colors pop over it, like you can see here. So right, you get, so black is the foundation. And so the reason why we did that was that we thought about the fact that no matter where you are in the Afro community, no matter what you are or who you claim to be, but one thing that everybody in the Afro community can resonate with is the color black. You get, it is literally another name for Afro or Africa. And so we were like, okay, that's like the foundation. I don't know if you get, so that's literally what we went with, black as the foundation. And so that there's inclusivity and diversity, other colors pop out of other regimented colors too. But for this we had like an idea of having a very wide color scheme that pops on top of black, so that it reaches out to a lot of people. You see how like we're considering the feedback that the clients gave. Then now the second one is retro Afro vibe, retro aesthetics with inclusive appeal, balanced color palette, and irregular dynamic designs. You get, so this was not just the color, this was the style. So we wanted something Afro, blacks and African guys relate with like Afro like retro designs because from their past and whatnot. So another thing I wanted to double on with this color scheme and this mood board was the irregularity of the design. So if we had gone with this, we would have had designs that had like scattered around elements, fonts that were not regular basically. And so that's how the design was going to come about. So this mood board is not even necessarily for just colors, it is for the entire brand. You understand? And then the last one is bold and global Afro party vibes. And so for this, what we're looking at was high energy, inclusive aesthetics, loud and expressive color palettes, and a universal Afro identity. And so for this one, we wanted colors that popped. You guys know what I mean, colors that popped basically, because at the core of it, so for this we were considering more that it was a party brand, you get. And so while we're presenting this, one thing that the client highlighted, that you see this color purple is like a breaker, is not necessarily one that you see a lot in the Afro community space, you get, but we can tune in on that while still retaining other colors that can help us communicate Africa. But like the main color of the brand is going to be purple. And so they basically liked the vibrancy that this one is needed, and they decided that they're going to go with this because that's what they're going for as a brand. And so after we settled on the color and the mood board and whatnot, cheers to us, we went straight to the logo design.
Once the mood boards were finalized, I went to work immediately designing the middle here. My goal was to keep the energy of Afrobeat alive, but look for a way to make it inclusive, such that those outside of Africa can still relate with the brand. I explored different symbols, typography, and different ways to balance vibrancy with versatility. The result were 3 logo directions that each told the different parts of the Afrobeat MCR story.
All right, so after Rob created the logos, we sent them to the clients, and basically we had 3 options. This option, this one, and so sorry. So now you see that we didn't just send them logos, we did like a mini version or a brand presentation of every of the logos. So we had like the rationale first of all, explaining what the logo is about. For this logo, we wanted like, I think Rob basically talked about this, yeah, and we put the logo in sort of like flyers, show you what it looks like with like color pairing and whatnot. Showed you like an part of the icon, showed you what it's going to look like the the logo mark, showed you how it's going to be like on Instagram, show you what's going to look like on the flyer, basically just build it a little bit. And this is the second logo that we came up with. So yeah, this is the logo mark, and this is what it looks like. I was trying to use this because Soraya wanted really good social media presence, because this is how people get to hear about them. You get yeah, so this is the merch on the bag. The clients really love this bag, by the way. Then the final one, which is the one that they went for, so this is what it looks like. This is what Soraya looks like in real life now, and I think this one really resonated well with them. But I think they are trying to pair this logo with this icon, which was the feedback that they gave. But according to the way the style of the logo and the icon is, two of them don't really work together. So what we did was, as we go on, you're going to see, I don't know if you're going to necessarily see it, but like as we go on, what then happened was that we used this logo, which is the one that it chose, while retaining some elements, while retaining this as a brand element, as a part of the brand element, and it's also included in the brand patterns. You get, so the way there's like a pattern here, you see this pattern that is here, but this time around it's not just this element, we added some more things. So I don't, like, in retrospect, I don't really advise people to do this, but here's what we did. Alright, so for the brand, I think there was a reason why I had to do this, because I wanted to be sure that we're using the right elements that really resonate with what Soraya was going for with when I was creating the patterns. You get, so when I created the patterns, I did a mini presentation, sent to them so that they can basically approve it. And so we send them. And also, like, one thing that you notice in branding is that as you keep on working, you keep on refining some of the rules. So use cases are very necessary. Use it, experiment it. I noticed that I added a color, I noticed that I added some rules. Like, for example, if you go to the brand guide, you see that I showed to them that this pattern, especially when used together like this, should never be used on another background aside from black, because I noticed that I wanted something colorful. I remember that black as a foundation something, so we applied it here. You get, so that colors pop on the black, because look at how it is. It's sort of like nice on white, but it's not giving what it's supposed to give. It's not the brand, basically. It's not looking like a children sort of something. But this is going to be nice for like a handkerchief or a parchment paper or something like that. You get, so I explained to them some of the elements on the what do they call the stuff on the patterns. There's like a shambori. I don't know if the shambori stayed. I don't think they stayed, because they had some things removed. So they had some things removed. I basically, the party popper, the masquerade, the marks for like parties and whatnot. Then the musical symbol, which is like big for them. The star. Remember the star. Remember this circle here. I remember this sun something that we got from the other logo. So I had to actually draw some of these on Illustrator. Then we had like the leaf, African sort of like nature vibes and whatnot. And so this is what it looks like on white, even though I don't really like it. And so yeah, I had to show them like real life usage of the pattern so that they can actually see it. So this is what it looks like, and this is what it looks like on a cap. I really think this is so beautiful. And so they made some corrections, and we took effect of these corrections. That's why I was saying that I think this was necessary to show them the patterns, because for Soraya it is very specific the kind of elements that they put out there, so that it properly, because when you're talking about things relating to Africa and Afro vibes and Afro culture, especially in the Afro community, you have to communicate properly so that you don't miss it. You get, so like miscommunicate. And so basically from this, we went to create the brand guide. And so because the brand guide is a confidential document, I might not show you everything, but I think I can show you from like the social media to the applications of what Soraya looked like. I think we did an amazing job with Soraya. Basically, what we just tried to do was, I think if you followed up onto this extent, you can understand what was in the brand guide. It's nothing too esoteric. It was basically your brand guide, but this brand guide was a lot. It was 74 pages thereabouts. So I really took our time to create it. Yeah, let me show you what it looked like with no further ado. All right, so yeah, on the brand guide, I think I can show you a few things. Basically, this is what it looks like, the iconography. So this is the template that we use for the brand guide. Basically, Soraya brand guide, the date here, and the write up here. And so for the brand guide, you see how like the logo style, we didn't just leave it there. We translated it to the iconography such that these extrusions, we retain them. I think we also had them like in text, like, so this iconography for IG covers, then the star. So this star that is in the logo, we had to retain it, you get. And also we retained the extrusion for the text so that you can see it in like flyers and whatnot. Then the applications that, like I told you, I'm going to see. So this is what it looks like on a business card, and another variation for business card. So this is the elements. You see how the music icon is being used on this vest. So yeah, you see there's two variations of the t-shirts. I think the creative director really like this one, the one with the patterns all over it. There, a billboard, basically just so that you see how that everything comes together to form a beautiful brand. And so one thing that we had as a rule was that these icons, they can be used individually. So when I was sending them to the client, I sent individual versions of each and every one of these elements in all the colors of Soraya, so that any graphic designer, video editor, or even a web designer can use all of these elements. And so basically, so this is what it looks like on a bango. So you see, I think this is one of the most beautiful mockups that we ever created for this brand, because a lot of people, when we posted it on Instagram, a lot of people talked about it. So this is what it looks like on bangles, and basically this is what it looks like on like this kind of like a ticket entry, whatever. Yeah, like a ticket band, you get an event band, basically. I think it's one of the most beautiful mockups that we did, because people really loved it. We got a lot of reviews because of this. I think I haven't got any client because of this. Then basically it was going to look like on flyers. Then there's another mockup I really love, like a ticket kind of stuff. So you see that the mockups are not just generic, they are relating to the brand, they are very intentional. So there's like another t-shirt, another bag. I don't know what the name of this bag, but like this was going to look like on a billboard, the brand with the typography, other elements, a picture, scan to register, blah blah blah. Yeah, this is what the what do they call this, the flyer is supposed to look like, with the extrusion text and whatnot. So this is not necessarily like an event flyer, but like just a social media flyer. And yeah, then we ended it with a flag. And yeah, thank you for watching. Kudos to everybody that worked on this project. Somebody that we didn't talk about is Ifmaya Azudo, my very good friends that worked on this project with me. I think this was an amazing project. So yeah, this is how Soraya went. All right, so after we done with the brand and we delivered everything to the client, they paid off, and I tried to get feedbacks from my client as much as possible. So this one was a written feedback. Here's what the client said. And so it was like, good morning, Chris. Thanks for the work you've done with rebranding Afrobeat NCR to Soraya. I've completed the final payment to close out the rebrand project. Overall, you did great in taking on board and incorporating feedback I was impressed with how you structured the work on Notion and your communication throughout the process, always seeking clarity before proceeding with tasks. Also, I'm glad you brought creativity to the table, especially with the brown colors. Keep up the excellent work. I believe we will work together at some point on some other projects. Once I get my head around how you can support, I'll be in touch. Many thanks. So yeah, this was kind of sent to me, validating that if you're really satisfied with the project. If you're watching this video here, clients, do always reach out to me and let's work on your plan. Thank you for coming this far. If you watch this video till now, the first link on the description of this video is going to take you to my Behance, where I display the case study of this brand. So yeah, do well to reach out to my Behance, and there's going to be videos displaying on the screen of how I worked on another project. See you on the other side. Peace.